I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to Board Game Breakfast, a weekly show. Actually, we do it twice a week. We do a live show on Thursday mornings about board games and the people who play them. I'm joined by a ton of amazing contributors, and we hope you stick around and have a great time today. Well, we're in the middle of March here, and we did a lot of cool videos last week. I started a new series called Games That Changed My Life, and I hope that you enjoyed that. It's kind of fun for me to do kind of a retrospective short little videos about different games that have meant something to me for some reason or other. And there's lots of cool games coming in. Last week, the Game Manufacturer Association meeting, GAMA, happened, and that was a lot of cool things they've announced for the future. So there's a lot of cool board game things to talk about, and here we go. I had a few folks send me a link to an SNL, Saturday Night Live skit, where they reference board games. So a couple of things I found interesting about this. First of all, there's two main things. One is the fact that they were actually shown Catan and other designer board games that if you're watching this channel you probably know a bit about in there. It was a very brief thing at the beginning, but this is something that's happening more and more. I like to point out when we see these things, even if it's paid product placement, which I assume sometimes it is, but maybe it's not. Maybe someone on the cast just happened to have those games and they brought them out, or someone in the crew or whatever. You know, you're always like, I wonder who plays board games. The other thing about this was it was a skit, and you could watch the whole skit online, but it was a skit in which two people were playing a game and they got so involved in the game that nobody else was able to basically understand what was going on. And that's something made me think, because that happens occasionally. I might be with a gamer friend. We have some non-gamers over and we're like, ooh, we should try Cosmic Encounter, this great negotiation game, and we're both really into it. And everybody else at the table not necessarily so. And also, it reminds me of those party games where it's a very specific thing, like maybe Star Wars Trivial Pursuit, where there's a few people who are really good at Star Wars, or an acting game, Gestures or things like that, where a couple people are really into it and everybody else is kind of just there. So read the room, I think, is necessarily something that this skit might teach us. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. That's what I found on the internet this week.
Hi guys, I am Randy.
I'm Ellen, where we game together.
Welcome to another call video. How are you doing so far? How many have you gotten right and wrong? Can you get 4 for 4 today?
Let's find out. First, we're starting with The Grizzled. Can friendship be stronger than war?
It certainly can, but the game will not be staying
It will not.
in the old collection.
But I do remember that you really like it.
It's a co-op game, card co-op game, and it's pretty quick actually. It plays in about 30 or so minutes. With the expansion, it makes it even better. You are trying to play cards out of your hand, and it's got a push your luck aspect to it. If you get 3 of the same card, very bad things happen. But you have to get all those cards out of your hand so that you can win the game, because you have to go through a whole big stack of them.
Yeah.
It's good, but not staying.
No. Okay, next we have Ghost Blitz.
Ghost Blitz.
What do you think?
This is kind of in the same vein as
Top Hat
and those kind of games.
Yeah.
I love those games, and they will never leave the collection.
We're keeping it. It's 2 to 8 player, which I love, because I love being in a group of people and you're all just grabbing for stuff in the middle of the table. It's very vicious. So basically, a card will come out, and the thing that is not depicted on the card is the thing that you're trying to grab. So it's very confusing because colors get applied to objects in the picture that are not, accurate.
But on top of that, all of a sudden one will come out that's exactly right, and you have to switch gears in your mind and grab the one that's exactly right.
It's a blast.
Really neat.
It is a blast.
Really fun. And it's still actually probably the favorite one of the ones like that.
So next we have Cytosis. A cell biology game.
If that didn't throw you off, we're not keeping.
That's probably a good clue.
Yes.
Literally.
It's actually a really good game. It's good educational. I would recommend it definitely in the school environment, kids environment. Just as a game itself, it's good, but just didn't have enough to keep me wanting to, keep
come
it
back for
in
more.
Come back for more and keep it in the collection.
Sorry, Cytosis.
So, sorry.
I like the colors of it.
Scythe. Look at this bad boy. We have everything for this game. So much good stuff. Play through the entire Rise of Fenders campaign. And it's not
going to keep it.
I like Scythe a lot. I just, at this point, feel like I have played the game enough. I don't need to play it anymore. Somebody out there can give this the love that it deserves. Yes. We don't ever play it. I mean, yeah. You were kind of okay on it.
I was okay. I played probably 3 times.
I think Scythe is really good, and the more I play it, the more I love it. But I've played it so many times, I just don't see the need to keep it anymore. I
do feel a little weird about it, getting rid of it, but I'm good. I'm good.
Guys, I don't think that anybody got 4 for 4 on that one.
I don't think so.
Maybe we tricked you.
Maybe.
Well, good luck on the next one if you didn't do well on this one. And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
So what are we adding to the Dice Tower library this week? Well, first of all, Ascendancy. Star Trek Ascendancy. There's so much. We are still in the process of putting it all into this box. I think we'll be able to fit, I don't know if I'll be able to get the Borg stuff in, but we'll be able to get everything else, and I'm pretty happy with how it's coming together. So when you open up the box itself, you have a case here, which I got one of these photo cases where you open it and there's all your stuff. Your starting planet, your ships, everything that you need. And so that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with how that works out. And so this is one of the games that was requested for our library. We definitely want to have it in there. Other games that we're adding into the library. So we're adding Dungeon Drop. We're adding Moon. And we are adding Jetpack Joyride. And then another game that was requested is Civilization, along with both of its expansions, and the Pillars of the Earth and Lords of Zidit. And that's what we're adding to the library this week.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
From Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
All right, well, today we're going to be talking about Pandemic Rapid Response. But before we do that, we'd like to talk about what we're doing to try to achieve better health in our lives.
And right now, I'm just trying to learn more about intermittent fasting, specifically on how it affects women. I've read some conflicting studies, and so I'm kind of confused about that. So basically what I want is help from you guys. If you know any articles or any studies or any books specifically towards women and intermittent fasting, please let me know. I want to read up on this. But now, instead of limiting the amount I eat, let's spread the time we play with Pandemic Rapid Response.
All right, so this is a real-time dice game where you are, throwing dice furiously, trying to match up these symbols, trying to create resources. You're on this plane that is specially designed to react to these natural disasters all over the world. So that's kind of how it ties into Pandemic. But really, we found that it doesn't really feel like Pandemic that much. It's a whole separate game.
Yeah. Yeah, if you like the Pandemic, all of those games, and you're wanting a fast-paced Pandemic game, this isn't really it. It just doesn't have that feel to it.
That being said, this is by Kane Klenko, who is the master of real-time dice games. So it is a blast. I will say that we've won basically every game we've played, so it's pretty easy on the hardest settings, at least at the 2-player level. Yeah. And at 4-player, even still, we hadn't had any problems there. So it's pretty easy to win, but that being said, it's still a blast rolling these dice and moving around the board furiously.
Yeah, it is fun to play. I did enjoy all the plays of it, except I like my win-to-lose ratios to be about 40-60, and I felt like this was about 80-20, and that's just not where I like my cooperative games to be. That's a personal preference, but if you're like me, then it might be on this game.
The components were really top-notch, though.
Yes, except for that sand timer.
Sand timer, that was a drag.
But if you want to hear our full thoughts on this, go ahead and check out our YouTube channel under Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. Well, everybody, this is Ryan, and I'm Bethany, hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Okay, hey, we're going to take a break here and talk to Travis Chance, who is someone that you've seen on our channel before and has designed many games. And this is your newest one, Ruination.
This is my newest one, my biggest, my baby.
We just played it last Friday, and if you see us playing it, it's kind of like in a category of, I guess, like these miniatures on a map style games.
Dudes on a map, yeah. Like,
you and I tend to like those games.
they're my favorite.
So when you went in to design this, were you thinking about those? You're trying to do something different? How did that process go?
I think ever since I played the game Concordia, my opinion of games has completely changed. So I wanted to have a game that had lots of little... I liked Kemet. I like Kemet a lot, and I like how Kemet has the little incremental gains from buying the tiles and stuff. So I wanted to create a system that had lots of little incremental gains. So as you know from playing the game, you might move up a track and you trigger a power, you get some victory points, and then you buy something, you put some guys in, and you gain a little token. So I wanted to have lots of little kind of moments like that, and that was where I started with the game. And then just the idea of these face-up decks of cards where you can resolve the stuff on the cards in the order that you want.
It seems difficult with these games, and anytime a game like this comes out, to have a different combat system.
Yeah.
You know, but you have rolling of dice. So
Yeah,
you
I
want
do.
the dice rolling, because nowadays a lot of games are moving away from that.
Yeah, but I think dice are... It has the most dramatic outcomes, right? Like,
Yeah.
"Oh!" Or like in the very last battle we had, if I didn't roll that double fist...
You don't need to watch the video, but I won.
Yeah, if I didn't roll that double fist and I had, that was my last reroll token, if I wouldn't have rolled that, I lost. I mean, and I think that's what I like about dice. I don't, you can get some cool stuff with cards and stuff, but it can be a little deterministic. It often feels like you'll know to some extent how things are going to play out. So I wanted to have that flair, but at the same time it has dice, and there's lots of ways to mitigate. Those little tokens you get let you reroll and control the dice, even change the die to the side that you want. So I felt like that was a nice... workaround on the mitigate bad luck, essentially.
And you also put in this post-apocalyptic theme. This was your idea?
Yeah.
Throw it in. So what was kind of the inspiration for that?
I just love Mad Max. I've always I don't like, some people love Star Wars. I love Mad Max and Aliens. Those are like that's my Star Wars for me. I've always loved Mad Max. I think Mad Max is amazing. I saw Fury Road like 4 times in the theater. I watched Fury Road twice on my way back from Gamma on the plane. I'm not kidding. I love Mad Max. So I wanted to do something that was post-apocalyptic, and weirdly there isn't a post-apocalyptic dudes on a map game that I can think of. I guess
there's not many for sure.
Sure,
not a
but
competitive
not
one.
straight. Like it's always like mutants and monsters or powers and stuff like that. This is humans. Like it's largely just humans.
And it has that idea in this game that you can have a miniature nobody else has. You
Yeah.
can have powers that nobody else has.
Yeah.
The game, you start out slightly asymmetrical, but by the time it's over,
You're very different.
you're very different, and that's a deliberate design choice.
Yeah, I wanted those little incremental gains so that little things feel big. So like one person, Jeremy Howard being able to generate a resource every turn means over a few turns he's going to be able to use that to buy something, right? Or like you had that power where if you had 3 of your basic guys in an army, you could just move for free.
Right.
So those are the guys that when you get them, normally you're just like, and then suddenly now you want to put lots of them in an army so you can run around with them, these little meat shields and pick
I'm always
fights.
appreciative of the grunts and everybody in my thing.
Yes.
So this is a game that's, like I said, is currently on Kickstarter right now. It's a game that, once it's done, it's going to come out. You have a 2 to 4 player game here. We talked about the difficulties of designing one of these games for various players. How did you handle that in this?
Well, I think Chris Ham and I have become he's the lead developer over at Colossal, and Mike Mihilchik, one of the designers of the game Flotilla, was the actual lead dev on this, but Chris Ham did a once-over on it, or he was there at the end of the process to kind of go over everything. We're pretty good at making area control games that play 2, which is often really hard. You almost always need a third player, so it's not so back and forth. But this game, like Mezzo, the other area control game we made, works really well at 2. We didn't do a solo game for this one just because I think the player interaction is so high in this, it would have felt kind of artificial. And I tend to think that, I know I literally just read a comment being like, oh, I would have bought this if I had 5th player, but the games to me often get miserable when there's 5 and 6 players. I just don't want to add a bunch of extra stuff and charge people who are not going to ever play it at 5 players for all the miniatures and components.
Oh, if you want to fight Mad Max style with miniatures and really diversify, like I said, check out Ruination.
The Deathworm die.
Man, I really want that Deathworm die. Next time I play, I'm getting a Deathworm. That's all there is to it. All right, well, thanks for coming on. I hope that this does very well for you, and we'll see. Check it out. That's Ruination. I'm Tom Vasel, and this is Travis Chance.
Thanks.
Hey, what's up, breakfast? Welcome to You Yes You Can Paint. Today we're taking a look at a tip, a technique that we talked about when highlighting, but I want to show you today in a very special, easy way to do it, is how to highlight up black colors. You say, well, why is that difficult? Well, because you're not using black to get brighter and brighter. You're having to use grays and blues and things like that to really get a nice color gradient out there. So we're going to take a look using some of the Harry Potter miniatures game right now.
So ideally, you're going to take a figure, and we're going to use Severus Snape right here, everyone's favorite Harry Potter character. Well, let's just face it. There are some people who think he's a terrible person, but those people are just, what's the word? Oh, yeah, wrong. Anyway, so you're going to get a nice black color. Now, if you water down your black enough, you're going to get the benefit of those zenithal highlights. Now, once the black is done, you'll have this nice look where you can already see some highlights built up. But then you'll just add a little bit of gray, whether it be a lighter gray, a bluish gray, a whitish gray. The point is build the color towards what you kind of want to end up as your final look. What I mean by that is if you want a bluish tone to your black colors, which I actually prefer, if you're doing like a Batman cloak, it really looks good. Add a little bit of a dark blue to your black to lighten the color up. And then we're going to do just like in the highlighting video, which you saw a couple weeks back, we're going to add this in just strips very thin across the areas that were already black. Now you notice here I'm going over his cloak because his cloak is actually a lighter color. I'm sorry, his vest is actually a lighter color there, right? With McGonagall, we're going to do the same thing with her hat, but this part's just for free. But the thing about the highlighting is you're going to keep successfully moving up brighter and brighter, and here with the Caro twin, you can see it getting brighter and brighter in those little areas, and you're going to paint thinner and thinner areas. I should say thinner. I said smaller areas each time you highlight up to where when you get the black highlights done, it's not going to stand out a ton like an edge highlight on a green would. It's going to look much more muted, but at the end of the day, you're still going to see where you highlighted and got those different shades and hues onto the character's cloak as if he's standing under some sort of light. You can also build this up to where he's holding up some sort of magical light, which we're going to talk about some object source lighting coming up pretty soon. So I hope you enjoy these techniques on highlighting with blacks. Just make it your own.
That's it. That's all there is to highlighting up a gradient with black. Choose the color area you want to go to and start painting towards that. Hope you enjoy. Finish your breakfast. Enjoy your breakfast. I don't know, whatever. Enjoy your breakfast.
So what's coming from the Dice Tower this week? Well, I'm going to continue my series of games that changed my life, and I'm going to continue talking about, this week I'm still talking about some games that changed my life as a child. Mandy and Suzanne have their podcast going up this week. There is going to be more videos, reviews coming from us. There's going to be another top 10 list this week. I'm excited about this one. It's going to be top 10 games that every gamer should have. And you're like, wait a minute, you just did that list a bit ago. Yes, but this time I'm not involved in the list at all. It's going to be Roy Canaday, Mike DeLisio, and Jason Levine. So the three of them are going to be doing this, and I think it'll be fascinating, hopefully for you, to hear three very different opinions on that subject. So that's kind of, there's other things going on this week, and if we have time, you might see live plays. We're kind of busy doing a lot of various things, but that's what you're going to see this week on the Dice Tower.
Hey, Board Game Breakfast. I'm back. Let's talk about 2010 real quick, and then we're going to go to 2011. So last time I talked about 2010 and how I have not played any games from 2010. I wanted to play Dominant Species. Everybody else said I should play Seven Wonders. I got them both. I played them both. I like them both. Dominant Species is long, but it's a lot of fun. It's a great design that I played with my wife and kids. I saw a giant version being played at Dice Tower West, and I wanted to get involved, but I didn't want to give up 6 hours. So it's very long. So for that reason, I also tried Seven Wonders. There's my shrink wrap copy I picked up at Dice Tower West. I played this game multiple times and had a blast. I even bought Seven Wonders Duel. For those of you who have not played Seven Wonders, it is a card game for, I think, 2 to 7 players. I wouldn't play with more than 5, though. That'd be kind of long. Where you are trying to build the 7 wonders of the ancient world. You're playing cards. It's a drafting game, which I never heard of drafting games, and Tom was teasing me because I've only thought of Magic the Gathering when you played like a deck building game where you have sealed decks and you take a tarot card, pass it to the left, and it goes. But that's actually in this game, and I was shocked. Tom made fun of me because he told me that's a common mechanic nowadays. Well, I don't remember seeing that thing in any games I played before, besides Magic the Gathering. So that was pretty neat. What else? Other mechanics, I wonder, have I missed? The Dominant Species You get to play as frogs, or spiders, or snakes, or monkeys, or was it grasshoppers too? Grasshoppers, insects, amphibians, and birds. I don't suggest 2-player dominant species. Not very fun. But it was fun with 5, but long. I can't believe that I like this card game more than I like dominant species. But oh well. Now 2011, let's go forward to the next year. I looked over the top 10 for 2011, and I don't see anything that looks interesting to me, so I'm going to rely on you guys and girls to help me figure out what games from 2011, what game is the best from 2011. I looked at Board Game Geek, Castles in Burgundy. I don't know. Is it any good? I looked over the list. Email me your suggestions, and I'll try to get a game or two from the 2011 list and talk about next time. So let's talk about Dice Tower West. So Dice Tower West just ended, had a great time. It's out in Vegas. Was there for a whole week, hanging out with Tom and the crew, and a lot of people, over 1,000 people playing board games a whole week straight. I played so many games that I have never played before. I even spent a whole day playing war games, which was really exciting. I got to meet a bunch of new people, and I can't wait to see a lot of those same people at Dice Tower East, which is coming up this summer. So email me your thoughts on 2011, and I look forward to trying some games from that year.
Do you really want to talk about Tom that much?
Yeah.
This week, for a review, I'll talk about something that came out in 2011. In fact, I know the actual date, 11/11/11, is when Skyrim came out. Now, Skyrim's been out for years, right? And I mean, it's almost 9 years since it's out, and they still haven't announced a sequel to it. They got caught up making Fallout and then an online game, blah, 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 blah. But Skyrim recently, a couple years ago, came out for the Switch. I downloaded it, and recently I decided to jump back in the world of Skyrim. And I gotta say, for a 9-year-old game, this holds up really, really well. Skyrim is a game in which you can get immersed and do kind of anything you want. You can be a warrior, a thief, an assassin, a wizard. There is so much content in there that I don't think, people say like, oh, you can play it for 80 hours. I think it could be closer to maybe 800 hours worth of content. There's just so much stuff. There's a civil war going on the land. You can pick one of the sides and go do that. There's the actual main quest itself. There's a quest to become an assassin, to become the master thief, to become the master wizard. There's the bardic quests. There's the companions quests. When you add the DLC for the game, you can be a vampire, hunt vampires. You can go to another whole island and do huge quests on that island. And there's dragons and giants, and it's just, there's so much. Sometimes at night I'll just get out and I'll run through the land. That's it. Just run through the land and see what happens. See what I run into. I've played the game before. I've done quite a few of the quests. I don't think I've done all the quests. I've done quite a few, and it's coming back into it. It's been like 2 years since I played it last. This feels like a breath of fresh air, and going into it and looking at all the stuff, and I'm just having an absolutely fantastic time playing the game. So, yeah, it's an older game, but it's definitely one I would recommend. This is one of the few games I would give a 10 out of 10 to. I've had that much fun in it. Yes, there's its quirks, and yes, there's a lot of Skyrim comedy videos on the internet where people make fun of the way things happen in the game, but to see the amount of stuff that they have managed to squish into this game is pretty phenomenal. Also, yesterday I became a master alchemist, so there's that. A lot of fun game. Highly recommend it. Skyrim.
What's up, everyone? My name is Melissa McCack, and this is Smashin' Buttons and Slammin' Cards. This is a segment where I talk about a video game I love and I connect it to a board game I love. And this week, I want to talk about Super Metroid. I used to play this game for the Super Nintendo, and it was a lot of fun. You're playing as this female character, which was pretty cool, in this mech suit, and you're going around, and it's this shooter game, really. And what I remember most about it was drawing out maps to remember, like, where did I go? Because ultimately you're trying to collect certain items and everything in order to bump up your stats, and even just to like protect you from certain terrain and whatever it might be, right? So you needed like certain armor sets and things like that. And you go up against, bosses and everything. I like to connect this to Seventh Continent. And the reason I'm connecting it to Seventh Continent is because Seventh Continent has that open world feel, but again, you're drawing out maps to kind of remember where did you go already, what did you already obtain, because you're trying to get to certain places, you're trying to lift the curse, and you're trying to get to certain places to get certain things that you need in order to lift this curse. And I don't know, I guess just the whole idea of drawing out those maps to remember where I've gone in order to get to where I'm going reminded me of Super Metroid, when I used to do that and figure out where have I gone in order to get the certain items that I need in order to advance the story and the quest line and everything like that. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like, you could check out mine and my brother's podcast called Room 51. I'll catch you next time.
One of Wolfgang Warsch's games, The Taverns of Tiefenthal, what I think of it, coming up. Hi Stella! I got this game because, like some of you, the designer has done a lot of great games, like The Quarks of Quedlinburg. The Taverns of Tiefenthal is basically a deck building, dice drafting game with money and beer as currency. The first time we played it, only with the basic, I feel, meh, it's just okay. Then we add different modules to the game. Now it got interesting. There are 5 modules in the game, including the base game that you can mix and match. We played with all the modules, but the base game, much better and still works with all of them together. Unlike once we played Talisman with all the expansions for 13 hours and lose at the end, but that's another story. With all the modules, Taverns has more ways to mitigate the rolls or bad rolls, more ways to trash cards and getting points. There are guest books so you can collect signatures to get more points, set collection style. My favorite is probably the asymmetric power at the start, kind of giving me a direction of what strategy I should focus on. You can start with 1-up raids in your tavern or even trash your starting card. I do have video for it on Meeple University YouTube channel of the different modules, so check that out if you want to find out more. Well, thanks for watching. We are on the Dice Tower How to Play videos and Meeple University on YouTube. See you next time.
At this point in time, I know that board gaming is not necessarily the first thing everyone thinks about, especially with the news and the coronavirus and everything that's going on in that regard. And it's definitely something that is impacting everybody in many areas of their lives. And it's something, obviously, that is to be taken seriously. It is something that is going to cause a lot of consternation and a lot of problems in people's lives regardless, and it already has. And I have to say that it's a time like this that I feel a bit optimistic in the board gaming community. And what I mean is, at this point in time, some board game conventions have been canceled, and maybe more will be in the future. We'll have to wait and see. And even board game events have been canceled, of people getting together and playing games. But in the house itself, there's a chance to play games. I was talking to my kids about this the other day. I said, hey, we might be stuck here at home for a while for whatever reasons, and you guys have all these video games to play, and you have Netflix, but I said we also have board games that we can play together. But even if I didn't have board games or my kids weren't interested in them, I've gone on at great length about solo board games and how I'm not a solo gamer. But yeah, you can, right? I am. And there's a lot of games you can play by yourself. And I'm so thankful that at this point in time we have this larger community, this internet community where we can talk back and forth. You are sitting there watching me right now, and maybe you're stuck in your house, but you can watch me and we can communicate back and forth. We have the ability to play games with people over the internet. Mandy and Suzanne do that on their Apptastic show where they're playing a game over the internet. We have so many good things available to us. This is not the greatest of times for many, many people, but there are times like this where I'm very thankful for what we do have. I'm thankful for the opportunity that we can communicate like this. That is what our goal is going to be going forward here as the Dice Tower. Our goal is to put out videos that exude positivity. We want to talk about games and fun games that you can play. We want to talk about different aspects of board gaming and the joys of that. And we want to do that, but we also want to be there as a community on the Dice Tower Facebook group, on the Dice Tower forums. We want those to be places you come in and have a good time talking to people and not necessarily ignore everything that's going on in the world, but for a time to maybe put it at the back of your mind and just enjoy spending at least screen-to-screen time with other people. And I've really seen a lot of this happening. I've seen this coming through with people so far, and it's just been fantastic. And I don't mean to bring down the tenor of our different videos by talking about this, but it is something that many of us are dealing with, and I've just been really pleased with the positivity and niceness back and forth, and I hope that that can continue, and I hope that the Dice Tower can also help you find a little more joy in your life.
Hello, and welcome back to Retro Board Game Corner. Here I have Jungle Hunt, published in 1983 by Milton Bradley. This is a 2 to 4 player game in which you're trying to dodge the mad monkey while trying to rescue the damsel. Let me set this up and show you how it works. This is what the game board will look like set up. First, every player is going to pick a different color explorer and start here at the start space. The mad monkey will start here on the red rope. Each rope will start in their own colored section. Now the ropes can move left to right, but they must remain in their own section with the exception of the brown rope, which can go in any colored section except go from blue to yellow or yellow to blue. On every turn you will go ahead and spin the spinner, and if your explorer is not already on the rope, you will take 1 point of movement to put him on the rope. The remaining point of movement can be used to swing the rope either left or right. Now to swing to the next colored area, your rope has to be right next to the other rope that you're trying to jump onto. Now you're going to need, on one of your turns, you're going to need to move the rope as part of your movement to go ahead and jump to the next rope using 1 point of movement. If you have any movement left, you can go ahead and move the rope some more. On your turn, when you spin the spinner and it lands on the mad monkey, that means that you can move the monkey piece to any adjacent colored section. For example, I want to move the monkey over here, and the bottom player will have to come here to the start of that colored section. Now, the object of the game is to get your explorer all the way around to the finish spot to rescue the damsel. You have won the game. Jungle Hunt is based off of an arcade game called Jungle King that had a character that resembled Tarzan. The people that actually owned the rights to Tarzan sued the arcade manufacturer, forcing them to change the character into an explorer and renaming it Jungle Hunt. Well, that's all the time I have for now. If you have a comment below, or you can tweet them to me at RetroBoardGamer. And as always, may your rolls be high.
Hey everyone, I'm Doug Jr., and you're watching a Fellowship of Meeples. You know, I think sometimes the games that we choose to play say a little something about who we are. And today I want to introduce to you my all-time favorite game, and that is Trickerion by Mind Clash Games. Some of you know that for the majority of my life I have been a professional magician. My family and I toured for 17 years full-time, and I still do it part-time today. And Trickerion kind of brings me back to that time. Let me show you what this game is like. Well, as you can see, it's a bit of a table hog, but how do you play the game? Well, come on over here, I'll show you. Let's suffice it to say that this is a worker placement game where you will be taking either your magician token or perhaps a specialist or an apprentice, and you would be placing it on the board to do different things, like learning new tricks. Then you'll go to Market Row and you might buy components, maybe wood, maybe steel or metal, maybe glass or cloth. The next thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to the workshop. In the workshop, that's where you build or prepare your illusion to be performed. And after the trick has been set up, then your magician will be able to go to the stage. And at the end of that round, he'll be able to do the performance, which will allow you to gain benefits like fame, which is basically victory points, or money, which is basically money, or shards, Tercarian stone shards, which will let you do things like get extra action points. Okay, well, there's a lot going on in this game, as you can see. Maybe there's a game that connects with you on a personal level, and it says something about you or your personality. Why don't you tell us about it in the comments, and maybe I'll mention it on a future episode. But until we see you then, have a great week, and enjoy the rest of your breakfast. Bye-bye.
And that's it for another Board Game Breakfast. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. I hope you have a fantastic week. Stay safe where you're at. Stay in touch with us. Again, you can comment on the YouTube channel below. You can go to our Facebook group, The Dice Tower. We have a forum on Board Game Geek, a website. That is a great place. We'd love to stay in touch with you all. And, of course, you can always email us. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast on The Dice Tower.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production.